Hello and welcome back. It's Mr. Carson again, and we're going to look today at how to use Google Sheets to create charts and graphs. Now, last lesson we were working on the idea of using Sheets to create a table, which we could copy and paste in our report. Now let's present the information in that table in a visual form. So we're going to create a chart or a graph, just like one of these sort of things up here. So if we visit our chart that we finished up with in our last lesson, we're just going through with this and adding extra things to it. Right, we can see I've added an extra column to our table, and I've actually gone through the trouble of putting in the borders, and I've done all the formatting. So I think something really good for the reader here would be to find the difference in mass between the two, when we started and when we finished. So how about we put in that? Now again, we're measuring in grams, so let's put all that in. Okay, now that looks much better. So now the beauty of this program, such as Sheets and other ones, is it will do lots and lots of the same calculations for us if we tell it what to do. So to tell it we want to start doing a calculation, we use the equals sign. And then I say, right, I want to take this number here and I want to subtract. So I use the subtracting sign, this number here. And I have it done. There it is. I press enter and up it pops automatically. Now as before, if I want to copy that instruction, I simply go across the side, highlight the cell, go across the side, have my little crosshairs appear, and then drag it down so it takes all of that column. And in other words, I'm telling the machine or the program that I would like it to do exactly the same with the other numbers for wood, tile and concrete. So let's see what happens. Yep, that does it. There we go. So we now have all this cut size there. Now we finished our table, so let's then convert that into a visual representation of our data. In other words, we're going to make a chart. So the first thing I do is to highlight. And that tells me I'm going to use all that information and I want a chart drawn with all that. But let's think about what sort of chart we need. So I go to Insert and Chart and look at the type of charts. Now, the column chart is the best for the type of values we have. Because we have made one measurement over a different types of materials, we actually call that a discrete data. And it's not the same as if we take a same measurement and do it over and over and over again on the same thing. And that becomes continuous data, and then we start to use things like the scatter plot. But that's another lesson, so we can work with that later. So we're going to have this column. Now as soon as we put the column in, it automatically does what it would look like over here for us. Alright, so here's what our thing looks like at the moment. Now that's not too bad, but to show what we really have done, we need to fix the chart up a bit more. So we go to Customize here, click it, and a whole series of options come up. The first of which is the title of the chart. Now we should always give a chart a title about what it actually is telling us. And here a good title would be how the mass of material changes when we add it to acid. Of course that's what we did. Now if I then hit enter, I can go back, and I think I'd better do some editing before I go too much further. Make sure I've got the spelling correct, because that shows me I've got mastery. Alright, so the mass of material changes when we add it to acid. If I like, I can change the colour, I can change the legend's colour, I can do what I like. But I'm not interested in doing too much of that. I'm interested in just showing what we really have found. Now that's halfway through, so then if we scroll down here, we should see another one called axis. Now horizontal axis tells me across here, and it shows me what we have there. Now we can see here we have the different materials used in the experiment. Alright, so if I do that, notice that underneath straight away we get a little sign. Little label comes on there. Now we need to label also the numbers. Numbers are useless without a label. So what I've got to do is I've come up here to this axis and it's got a little arrow down, so that means there must be another option. So let's look at what the other option is. It's left vertical. So now I'm going to label what these numbers mean. And these numbers are the mass of substance. And again, I must use units. If there are ever units with numbers, I should use them all the time. And I have that. Now you can see I've got a labelled chart. It tells me over here what the blue line means, what the red line means, what the orange line means. It tells me what these things down the bottom are, and it tells me what these numbers mean up the side. And then I have a title which says the overall what we did. This is exactly what we should present in a science report. And if we insert, now we can simply take this, copy it and paste it into our report, and it's all done. Now I'll go through another session where we do continuous data and what we do with it, but that's another story.